Join us at Women of Courage and celebrate the achievements of women. Before we begin, we're going to take a few moments to collect ourselves and to relax before we engage into our discussion. What we need to do is to focus now on bringing positive energy into our lives and into the world. The energy that we project every day is the same energy that we get back. We have all seen those people that can walk into a room and they glow. People want to be around them. People feel better being in their presence. That's the energy that we need to create. And once we learn how to do this, our lives will be filled with greatness. We will attract that positive energy. And how we can do this is by changing our outlook, meeting every day with gratitude, thankfulness, optimism, and once you do this, you will see a change in yourself. I want you to take a moment and close your eyes. Think about everything positive in your life. Family, friends, a career, your faith. All of this is how you start your day. Every morning when you wake up, I want you to think about what is positive in your life. I want you to list 10 reasons why your life is amazing. You will see the change. You will be changed. You will begin to attract life's blessings. Lead with gratitude. Be thankful and think positive.
This right here, this is the moment right before the day starts when you get to look in the mirror and tell yourself who you are. Now, you've been through some dark days. I believe that. But all that pain and struggle, that made the person you're looking at now. So when you walk out of these doors today, I need you to believe in yourself. I need you to believe you are the strongest person walking this planet. They don't know what you've been through. They don't know the grind it took for you to be here. So when you leave here today, I need you to show them.
Twice a month on Saturday, I meet with my listeners for a discussion about issues affecting women. Join us. For dates, times, and directions, you can reach us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Stop thinking there's nothing you can do to change the world. Your life is important. For more information on our books or subjects discussed, email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com.
We are going to continue discussing the book, What You Must Do to Win. Anytime a person reads a book, they are in the hands of the author. The author may intend to influence that person towards some action or to inform that person by adding knowledge to your arsenal, or the author may try to get you to see the world differently. Either way, the author becomes the most influential force in your environment at that time. The author may joke or describe people in a different manner or pose a question to you that you have never thought of, or the author may simply pull at your heartstrings or sway you to his or her way of thinking. Either way, books are for enjoyment and information. Anytime you read a book, you look or read the front and back cover. You're looking for information to help you, to tell you what the book is about, so you can decide whether or not you want to purchase the book. Well, with the book What You Must Do to Win, the front cover presents you with a man sitting on a bus wearing a winter coat with his head covered by a hood. And his head is bowed, and he's carrying a shopping bag. At first sight, you know this man is not prosperous because he's riding a bus. And secondly, he is carrying his groceries in a shopping bag. Since this man is sitting on the bus with his head bowed, you know he is weary and should be pitied. Something is not quite right with his life. He does not own a car, and he can only purchase enough groceries that day that he can carry. So this man is not very happy. Now, when you turn the book over, you read the back cover. The first thing you notice is the face of a man looking back at you. You continue looking at the back cover, noticing that there are 3 more pictures of the same man. Finally, you realize you are looking in the face of James Baldwin. He is a famous author and playwright. The first question you ask yourself is, what is he doing on the back cover of this book? What does James Baldwin have to do with winning? Now you realize there is more to this book than what you imagine. Why is the author James Baldwin being discussed? And what is he going to say? Now, you are intrigued because you want to know what James Baldwin has to do with winning. As you read the back cover, you get some idea of what to expect. First thing the author tells you is that you can learn from James Baldwin. That you will do a disservice to yourself if you do not learn more about James Baldwin. As you continue to read the back cover, you learn that James Baldwin was a friend to 3 men who were assassinated. These men were Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr. This is a mouthful. 3 of his dearest friends were murdered because of the life they led. Imagine the pain that James Baldwin felt. These men were assassinated within 5 years of one another. Medgar Evers was assassinated June 12, 1963 in Jackson, Mississippi at the age of 37. James Baldwin was 39 years old when Medgar Evers was murdered. Malcolm X was assassinated February 21st, 1965 in New York at the age of 39. James Baldwin was 41 years old when Malcolm X was murdered. Martin Luther King was assassinated April 4th, 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee at the age of 39. James Baldwin was 44 when when Martin Luther King was murdered. James Baldwin had to live with the loss of his three friends by violence until he died in 1987 in France at the age of 63. James Baldwin is buried next to his mother in New York. When James Baldwin died, he left an unfinished manuscript called Remember This House. It was a memoirs of his personal recollections of the civil rights leaders Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr. So apparently, until the day he died, he never forgot his friends. The manuscript formed the basis for Raoul Peck's 2016 documentary film, I Am Not a Negro. Now, when you explore James Baldwin, you will encounter one glaring characteristic. If you do not see it, go back and look at his education. James Baldwin did not have a college degree, yet everyone in the world knew James Baldwin's name. This is why it is such a profound moment when Congressman Representative Hakeem Jeffries quoted Biggie Small on the floor of the U.S. Senate when he said, "We are here, sir, because President Trump pressured a foreign government to target an American citizen for political and personal gain. We are here, sir, because President Trump solicited foreign interference in the 2020 election and corrupted our democracy, putting his personal interests over national security, then tried to cover it up. That is why we are here, Mr. Sekulow. If you don't know it, now you know." He's referencing the last line from rapper Biggie Small. He's also known as Notorious B.I.G. Biggie Small did not have a college degree either, but everybody knows his name. Former Attorney General Eric Holder tweeted Hakeem Jefferson and said, if you don't know, now you know. Biggie Small was assassinated March 9, 1997 in Los Angeles, California. Biggie Smalls did not, just like James Baldwin, have a college degree either, yet both of these men were winners. Both of these men mastered the English language and worked hard at expressing themselves. Here is one point. People are told every day that pretty people and handsome people are good people and ugly people are bad people. Pretty people and handsome people possess the best qualities and all the ugly people possess the bad qualities. These are thoughts telling people what to think, not how to think, not how to evaluate. Neither one of these men were handsome, yet they did not possess bad qualities. These men tell you that being different does not make you bad. I'm going to repeat it. Telling people that pretty people are good and ugly people are bad are thoughts telling people what to think, not how to think. Neither of these men were handsome, yet they did not possess bad qualities. These men were trying to tell the world of their thoughts. These men were trying to help the world think better. These men tell you that being different does not make you bad. It is one's behavior that makes you good or bad. It is not your hair color. It is not your size. It's not the shape of your head. It is your behavior that dictates whether you are good or bad. It is your deeds. Judge a man by his deeds. The back cover is telling you that there's a fallacy being perpetrated by people obscuring their ability to think. Start paying attention when a person tells you what to think instead of telling you how to think. During this discussion of what you must do to win, we're going to explore the meaning of two words, guilty and betrayal. We're going to examine these words with respect to two relationships. The relationship that you have with yourself and the relationship that you have with your children and spouse. with respect to winning. How does these two words, guilty and betrayal, relate to winning? There is one area on the plane where these two words intersect with the word winning, because in order for you to win, you have to push, not to fail, and you have to avoid being dishonest. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Behavioral psychologists say that motivation is the driving force behind all human actions. Still, the fact is that no matter how motivated you are, if you don't have the courage to act, nothing changes. Unfortunately, the society has construed courage to be a masculine quality, and we've been conditioned to believe a lie, that we women are the weaker sex. Men are supposed to be the brave ones, the go-getters, while a lady is supposed to wait around for her knight in shining armor. It is these limiting beliefs that have kept most of us in the background, holding us from taking charge of our lives and being the best we can be. It is why we have allowed men to dominate while we struggle for gender equality. What if I told you that you could live a life of freedom, of fulfillment, and everlasting happiness? What if I told you that you have innate capabilities and talents beyond what you are currently aware of? Only if you have the courage to go after your dreams. Remember, the distance between your dreams and where you are right now is action, and it takes courage to take action. I want to introduce you to a book that has transformed the lives of thousands of women across the globe. Women of Courage by Gloria G. Lee. A book that will help you banish all limiting beliefs and destroy your self-doubt by bringing you face to face with the lives of over 100 women who have triumphed over insurmountable odds and wrote their name in the history books. It is unlike any other women's books out there. The Women of Courage workbook takes you on a step-by-step guide to how you can take charge of your life, discover your purpose, and give you the zeal and enthusiasm you need to go after your dreams. It will give you an unshakable faith in yourself, help you create a world of freedom, and live the life of fulfillment you've always dreamed of. Your dream life could be just pages away. Remember, you are the captain of your life. Take charge of your life's mission today and join the community of women breaking boundaries and living their dreams. Get a copy of Women of Courage at... I promise you, your life will never remain the same.
You can visit touchedbythelight.us and learn what our books have to offer to you. You can visit touchedbythelight.us and learn what our books have to offer to you. Become a sponsor of the Women of Courage show by inviting 10 women for a pleasant afternoon to listen to us speak at your venue. Help us change our community to one of peace and harmony. The Women of Courage show is supported by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help women problem solve and to help women realize their dreams. Women should believe that anything is possible. Our sole purpose is the restoration of injured women, both physically and mentally. We meet twice a month on Saturday at a local restaurant to discuss subjects germane to women. We see five main problems of black women that we must solve ourselves. One is the sexual abuse of children, bringing unrelated males into the home and fail to notice changes in behavior. Rape and murder of black women, failure to learn the warning signs. Breast cancer, which is a failure to be examined. Sex trafficking of black women, accepting prostitution as a way of life. Economic trials of black women due to the inability to read or lack of education. Learn how to sponsor the Women of Courage show by speaking to our spokesperson, Renee of WHPR. She can be reached at renee88.1fm at gmail.com. I repeat, renee88.1fm at gmail.com. She will tell you all about it, or you can leave a message at the number 734-686-1444. Thank you.
We live in a society that has created an impression that a woman is limited in what she can do. The society lets you see yourself as a weaker human who should not aspire to greater things. Most of us grew up with that mentality and thus turned out to be unambitious. Good news is there are a lot of women out there, just like you, who have turned their lives around dramatically. Women like Mother Teresa, Lucy Burns, and Rosa Parks. There's one underlying factor common to all these women: courage. They were courageous in the face of societal intimidation. They were courageous enough to move against societal norms that were unacceptable to them. They were courageous when it mattered, most thus writing their standards in the sands of time. Purchase the Women of Courage series today at http://touchedbythelight.us or mail a check to P.O. Box 7267, Ann Arbor, Michigan 48107.
The word guilty is an adjective. In grade school, we learned that an adjective is a word that describes something. It may be a word that describes a woman. Say the woman is beautiful. The woman is fat. That is a large building. That's a small car. Here is a definition of the word guilty from the Merriam Dictionary. It means something that is culpable or responsible for a specific wrongdoing. He was found guilty of manslaughter. He was justly chargeable. She was guilty of a serious error of judgment. John felt guilty of having deceived his family. Guilt is adjective. You committed some offense, some crime, some violation, or some moral wrong. Well, the dictionary lets us know with these words and similar words, something this person did was wrong. Dictionary goes on and give us similar words such as culpable, to blame, blameworthy, at fault, in the wrong, responsible, answerable, accountable, liable, and reproachful. So from the definition, we learned that the word guilty is not a nice word. It's not a happy word. Now, how does the word guilty and betrayal relate to the word winning? Okay, imagine you are sitting in a courtroom where the judge is sentencing your son to 30 to 50 years in prison, and now you have to face yourself by saying, if I had only went back to school, I could have made enough money to move to a better neighborhood where my son could have had a chance of meeting better people. Imagine saying to yourself, if I had left my family alone, my brother would not have told my son how easy it was to sell dope. If only I had followed my first mind and not let my mother keep telling my son he was going to be just like his father, a prisoner in prison. If only. Now, do you see how the word guilty relates to the word winning? If you had not kept going to the bar with your friends and finished college, your son may not end up in prison. While sitting in the courtroom, you're telling yourself that I got thrown out of college because I was failing. I didn't give myself enough time to study. Now I have failed my children and myself. I borrowed the money to go to school, and now that I failed, I have to pay it back, so I got nothing from my money. You are telling yourself you did not play to win. You did not change your behavior to win. You did not evaluate yourself or your friends or any of your companions to see whether or not their behavior and your behavior was benefiting you. Now let's take a look at the word betrayal. Who was betrayed by you? Who was betrayed by your conduct or your lack of a true effort? The word betrayal is a noun. The Merriam Dictionary describes betrayal as a violation of a person's trust or confidence, or of a moral standard, revelation of something hidden, a secret, a betrayal of one's true feelings, an action that betrays a country, a group, a person, treachery. In other words, betrayal is negative behavior. It's negative thoughts, having a much more effect on your behavior than positive thoughts given to you by people at some point in your life who were supposed to be your friends. Negativity is a destructive contagion. Let me say it again. Negativity is a destructive contagion. And this is how you betrayed yourself, because you refused to change. You kept associating with people that were not motivated, that did not want a damn thing. Now you are sitting in a courtroom telling yourself all the things that you could have or should have done to prevent your son from going to prison. You finally realize you failed because of your lack of effort. You refused to learn and leave your stupid friends alone. You refused to stay up late at night reading to get your education. You betrayed yourself by going out to the bar instead of studying like you should. You finally realized how stupid you were for skipping work to spy on your boyfriend. That money could have helped pay for a tutor to teach your son to read. Now, after your son has been convicted, or your daughter has become a prostitute after having her fifth child, you finally face yourself and realize it was not the world that made you a failure, it was yourself. Yet now, what are you going to do about it? You have come to face to yourself. You finally realize you have been living a life of a fool. This is why all of your friends have left you behind. And while you're still working at McDonald's, while you still do not have a car, while you still do not own your home, while your children are a disaster. After this break that's coming up, I'm going to read another excerpt from the book, What You Must Do to Win. It discusses foolish behavior, foolish people who refuse to grow up, and who refuse to change. I am going to pause for a second to take a short break while you listen to information regarding willpower and encouragement. It is all a matter of learning new behaviors. And please remember, it is easier to build strong minds than to repair injured people. What I said is a modification of a quote by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." Now for my break.
Attention women, have you ever asked yourself why society views you as a lesser being to a man? Or why most leadership positions are filled by men? I urge you to visit touchedbythelight.us and get your copy of this amazing, inspiring new book called Women of Courage Part 2. It's carefully written with a passion for all women. It's the time for all mothers, sisters, and daughters to come together as one. Unite together and understand your life and make a change today. Visit touchedbythelight.us and order the book Women of Courage Part 2 and feel the love and dedication it has to offer. Get your copy today.
Become a sponsor of the Women of Courage show by inviting 10 women for a pleasant afternoon to listen to us speak at your venue. Help us change our community to one of peace and harmony. The Women of Courage show is supported by the Women and Children's Restoration Ministries to help women problem solve and to help women realize their dreams. Women should believe that anything is possible. Our sole purpose is the restoration of injured women, both physically and mentally. We meet twice a month on Saturday at a local restaurant to discuss subjects germane to women. We see 5 main problems of black women that we must solve ourselves. One is the sexual abuse of children, bringing unrelated males into the home and fail to notice changes in behavior. Rape and murder of black women, failure to learn the warning signs, breast cancer, which is a failure to be examined, sex trafficking of black women, accepting prostitution as a way of life, economic trials of black women due to the inability to read or lack of education. Learn how to sponsor the Women of Courage show by speaking to our spokesperson, Renee of WHPR. She can be reached at renee88.1fm@gmail.com. I repeat, Renee 88.1fm@gmail.com. She will tell you all about it, or you can leave a message at the number 734-686-1444. Thank you.
You're watching Detroit's own WHPR TV. Detroit Live.
Hi, this is Renee stepping out on faith. You can watch me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the WHPR TV Now app. Download our free app at WHPR TV Now.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Dear listeners, help us save a life. Stop breast cancer from taking lives. Will you assist us in putting the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer in the hands of 1 million people? Please go to the website www.touchedbythelight.us and download the booklet Black Women and Breast Cancer. Then email this booklet to 5 friends, asking them to email the booklet to 5 of their friends. We are trying to reach 1 million women with this information to save lives. The death of 1 woman to breast cancer from our community is 1 woman too many. We thank you for your support.
Twice a month on Saturday, I meet with my listeners for a discussion about issues affecting women. Join us. For dates, times, and directions, you can reach us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. Stop thinking there's nothing you can do to change the world. Your life is important. For more information on our books or subjects discussed, email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com.
Will you help us? Our prison ministry is trying to reach women with sons and or brothers in prison. We would like for these women to help us with our ministry and halt the growing population of incarcerated men. If you know of someone with a loved one in prison, please contact us at 734-686-1444 or email us at murderedvoices@gmail.com. We must teach men to read, to keep them from entering prison or before they leave prison. Men are now entering prison for killing their children. This has to stop. If we can reduce these murders by teaching men to read, to think clearly, and to manage their emotions. Edward James Olmos said, "Education is a vaccine for violence." We must do everything we can in our power to stop these heinous murders. Please reach out to us. When we work together, we win. The book, What You Must Do to Win, is filled with information. Much of the change that is required is predicated on your will to win. What are you willing to do to win? Are you willing to change yourself? Are you willing to improve yourself, meaning you have to leave certain friends behind? Think of James Baldwin. What did he do to win? What did he do to write all the books that he wrote without a college education? One thing we know is he left this country to win. In business, as with life, we all have excuses. Sometimes we say, I can't do something. Whenever you hear yourself saying, well, yeah, you're riding on the excuse expressway. Oh, and by the way, it's a really crowded freeway because so many people are living their lives full of excuses. It wasn't until I started looking at myself that my life changed. I realized in order to reach my goals, I had to stop making excuses. Simple. Now you can change the direction of your life once and for all once you decide what you have to do. You have to realize today is the day that you decide to change once and for all. Today is the day that you tell yourself that day is now. In the next session, show 74, I'm going to read the rest of the excerpts from the book, What You Must Do to Win. Now I want to give you some encouragement. I want you to listen to the following recordings regarding building yourself up to believe. See, in order for you to win, you must believe. Okay, sit back and give yourself some time and listen to these recordings.
Why get up in the morning telling yourself that it's going to rain? It will be one horrible day. Why forecast gloom and doom into your life? Why close off your life by negative thinking? You can stop this type of behavior by realizing you are in control of the way you see yourself. And it is positive thinking that will change your life for the better. What benefit do you derive from always telling yourself failure is right around the corner? How does it benefit you by telling yourself you cannot return to school so you can apply for a better job? How does it benefit you by telling yourself you will never get married, that no woman will want to be your wife? Negativity benefits no one. You need to read You Are the Prophet of Your Life and turn your life around. There's nothing like success. There is nothing like reaching new heights. There is nothing like sharing yourself with your family. Order You Are the Prophet of Your Life today at www.touchedbythelight.us. Read and reach for a better life. That day is now. The day you promised yourself the changes you were going to do better. That day is now. That is correct. That day is now. That day is no longer tomorrow. That day is now. What I am saying to you is that day is now. Hear me. That day is now. That's right. That day is now. In You Are the Prophet of Your Life, you will learn that day is now. You Are the Prophet of Your Life said all the days that you promised yourself change. That day is now. That's right. That day is now. The day you are going to learn to ride a horse, that day is now. The day that you are going to learn to play the piano, that day is now. The day you learn to fly an airplane, that day is now. The day you learn to play a guitar, that day is now. The day you're going to take a helicopter ride, that day is now. The day you are going mountain climbing, that day is now. The day you learn to ski, that day is now. Keep repeating this phrase to yourself. That day is now. Put a note on your refrigerator. That day is now. Put a note in your car. That day is now. Put a note on your mirror. That day is now. Now walk into your future with change on your lips. In You Are the Prophet of Your Life, you will learn that day is now. The day you learn to ride a horse, that day is now. When you learn to fly a plane, that day is now. The day you lose weight, that day is now. The day you return to school, that day is now. The day you learn to be a pastry chef, that day is now. You have 13 days to make a difference in your life. What are you going to do? In You Are the Prophet of Your Life, you learn it is not too late to try something new, to seek your dream. In You Are the Prophet of Your Life, you will learn this is the day you fly the plane. This is the day you ride a horse. This is the day you take that helicopter ride. This is the day you go mountain climbing. This is the day you learn to ski. This is the day. That day is right now. You Are the Prophet of Your Life says, let no man or woman tell you that you will never be a nurse, that you will never be a judge, that you will never command a starship, because these people do not know any better. They are speaking from the disaster they made of their lives. They believe you can't do any better with your life than they did with their life. In You Are the Prophet of Your Life, you will learn if your dreams never came to anything, it's time to revive them. This is the day. This is it. This is the day. Do it now. That day is now. The day you promised yourself the changes you were going to do better. That day is now. That is correct. That day is now. That day is no longer tomorrow. That day is now. What I am saying to you is that day is now. Hear me. That day is now. That's right. That day is now. In Women of Courage, you will learn that day is now. Women of Courage said all the days that you promised yourself change. That day is now. That's right. That day is now. The day you are going to learn to ride a horse. That day is now. The day that you are going to learn to play the piano. That day is now. The day you learn to fly an airplane. That day is now. The day you learn to play a guitar. That day is now. The day you are going to take a helicopter ride. That day is now. The day you are going to go mountain climbing. That day is now. The day you learn to ski. That day is now. Keep repeating this phrase to yourself. That day is now. Put a note on your refrigerator. That day is now. Put a note in your car. That day is now. Put a note on your mirror. That day is now. Now walk into your future with change on your lips. In Women of Courage, you will learn that day is now. The day you learn to ride a horse, that day is now. When you learn to fly a plane, that day is now. The day you lose weight, that day is now. The day you return to school, that day is now. The day you learn to be a pastry chef, that day is now. You have 13 days to make a difference in your life. What are you going to do? In Women of Courage, you learn it is not too late to try something new, to seek your dream. In Women of Courage, you will learn this is the day you fly the plane. This is the day you ride a horse. This is the day you take that helicopter ride. This is the day you go mountain climbing. This is the day you learn to ski. This is the day. That day is right now. Women of Courage says let no man or woman tell you that you will never be a nurse, that you will never be a judge, that you will never command a starship, because these people don't know any better. They are speaking from the disaster they made of their own lives. They believe you can't do any better with your life than they did with their life. In Women of Courage, you will learn if your dreams never came to anything, it's time to revive them. This is the day. This is it. This is the day. Do it now.
We live in a society that has created an impression that a woman is limited in what she can do. The society lets you see yourself as a weaker human who should not aspire to greater things. Most of us grew up with that mentality and thus turned out to be unambitious. Good news is there are lots of women out there just like you who have turned their lives around dramatically. There's one underlying factor common to all these women: courage. They were courageous in the face of societal intimidation. They were courageous enough to move against societal norms that were unacceptable to them. They were courageous when it mattered most, thus writing their names in the sands of time. Reading the series Women of Courage is a good place to learn about the significant role courage plays in achieving great things in life.
Remember, self-esteem is confidence in one's own worth or ability. Self-esteem also denotes self-respect. Those individuals who have low self-esteem usually undergo assertive training to build their confidence. See, without self-esteem, or if you have extremely low self-esteem, you will make yourself satisfied with a low-paying job. You will not fight back to go to school so you can get a better paying job. If you have low self-esteem, you will settle for someone telling you what you can and cannot do with your life, that you need to be satisfied with a used car, satisfied with a wife or a husband you do not love or desire. Self-esteem is your overall sense of self-worth or personal value. It denotes how much you appreciate and like yourself. Self-esteem is a personality trait, which means that it tends to be stable and enduring. Self-esteem encompasses belief in oneself. For example, I am unloved, I am worthy. So as well as an emotional state such as triumph, despair, pride, and shame. One thing I want you to note: women with very low self-esteem allow males to come into their home and mistreat their children or rape and kill their children. We're going to have a discussion of this later on this year, because a young boy was just killed by a woman's boyfriend by her allowing him to abuse her boyfriend because she had low self-esteem. Now, self-esteem is important because it heavily influences a person's choices and decisions. In other words, self-esteem serves as a motivational function by making it more or less likely that a person will take care of themselves and explore their full potential. Again, self-esteem is a motivating factor. Self-esteem will make you fight. It will make you stand up against the opposition. It will make you stay up at night reading textbooks after textbooks to reach your goal to be a mathematician or an engineer or a programmer. Self-esteem is the ground on which we stand. It is our foundation. It is the foundation of our beliefs. If you think you can win, then there is hope and possibility. If you do not think you can win, then there is what? A void. Think about it. What keeps a person going when every attempt he has made at winning has failed? What keeps a person catching the bus early in the morning, during sleet, rain, or snow, going to college for 6 or 7 years? What keeps a person working 2 jobs day in and year out, trying to save enough money to purchase a home, to purchase a car, to save enough money to go back to school, even though this person does not have family support? There are thousands of parents every year that do not help their children go back to school. These parents do absolutely nothing in terms of actually encouraging their children. They could go get a job, a part-time job at McDonald's, and help curb the cost of their child's tuition, but they don't do it. So when you see a person standing up against odds, against their family's behavior, that person is determined and that person has self-esteem. You are not going anywhere without a healthy dose of self-esteem and belief in yourself and hope. I know many of you may think that all you have to do is work tirelessly at throwing a basketball or running down the football court or talking loud and fast, and that's going to make your life for you. It will not. The key to success is belief in yourself and persistence. Dale Carnegie said you must persist. If you're trying to get the help of someone, you must pursue that person. You can extrapolate from the behavior of Michael Jordan or President Abraham Lincoln. You must persist. You keep pursuing your goal over and over and over again, day in and day out, week in and week out, year in and year out. Michael Jordan mastered the basketball because he believed in himself. Abraham Lincoln became president because he believed in himself. Abraham Lincoln ran in every election in the public arena. He even ran for dog catcher. He ran until he finally got elected. The foundation of persistence is self-esteem. Those with low self-esteem either give up or they never try. If the following describes you, then you may be suffering from low self-esteem, and you need to see a counselor for help. Do you try and act happy and successful, but actually you are terrified of failure? Do you live with the constant fear that you will be found out? Do you wear a mask of positive self-esteem? Do you have problems with perfectionism, procrastination, competition, and burnout? Do you act like the opinions or the goodwill of others, especially people who are important or powerful, don't matter? Are you angry all the time or feel like you are not good enough? Do you have the need to prove that the judgments and criticisms of others don't hurt? Are you always fighting authority? Or are you the helpless and unable to cope with the world and wait for someone to come to rescue you? Do you use self-pity or indifference as a shield against fear or taking responsibility for changing yourself? Do you look repeatedly to others for guidance? This behavior can lead to such problems as unassertiveness, unachievement, and excessive reliance on other relationships. Are you always blaming someone else for your circumstances or situations? Do you always say, if so-and-so had done this or that, this wouldn't have happened? These are all signs of an individual with low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, please seek counseling. It can help change your life. The problems that you encounter in defeating your low self-esteem is that you do not believe in yourself and you have formed a habit of not believing in yourself, and you have surrounded yourself with low achievers and non-believers. I'm going to say this again. The problem that you are encountering in defeating your low self-esteem is that you do not believe in yourself and you have formed a habit of not believing in yourself, and you have surrounded yourself with low achievers and non-believers. Consequently, you have stopped growing and you are stagnant in your behavior. Unwittingly, you turn people off with who are high achievers and people who want more out of life. These people have left you by the wayside. Look around you. How many friends have you lost? How many friends have moved away and never looked back? They did not give you their forwarding address or phone number. Do not tell yourself that you lost your friends because they have more money than you, that they think they're better than you. Face the fact that you ran these people away. You refuse to grow up. You refuse to grow. You refuse to change. You are depressing to be around. You always have a problem that is never solved. You are boring and unpleasant to be around. You are unwilling to learn new things, to push harder, to get the things that you want. Face it, you are always looking for the easy way out. Maybe you lost these friends because they did not want to become involved in your silly criminal behavior. Maybe they valued their families more than you valued your children. They were not going to go to jail over a few easy dollars. Yes, that is correct. When you do not believe in yourself, that lack of belief leads you into criminal behavior because you become entangled with the word easy. Without thinkers in your life, you do not have anyone to introduce new and fresh ideas to you. So it is about time for you to learn to believe in yourself. If you can develop the habit of not believing in yourself, why can't you develop the habit of believing in yourself? You need to work at developing a positive habit of thinking. You need to develop a mantra. The problem is you do not believe, so how can I get you to believe? The first thing I want you to do is to leave low achievers alone. You need to find some better friends. You need to find some friends that actually know how to think and problem solve. Second of all, you need to start telling yourself, complimenting yourself on what you do well. You need to develop a mantra which says, I am going to change, I have changed, I'm going to find me a job, blah, blah, blah. In other words, I'm telling you to begin forming a habit of believing in yourself. And stop looking backward and stop your criminal behavior.
You have 3 choices. You can sit on your couch and do nothing. You can participate sometime hardly doing anything. Or you can step into the future that you designed. The decision is yours. What are you waiting for? You either stand up for yourself with the chance of winning or failing, or grow old, mean, bitter, and hateful, driving your children to run from home or move to another state because of your archaic ideas. Time is running out. What are you going to do?
Thank you for listening to Women of Courage, and have a great day.